Hello and welcome to another video. This is Paul and I'd like to talk about buyers today and how they think and how they act when you're trying to work with them. Now, whether you're selling products or services or simply selling an idea, when you're dealing with buyers, there's a few things you need to keep in mind. One or two things also you need to just accept about buyers. For example, buyers can be irrational. They change their minds. They say they want one thing and end up buying something completely different. The reason why that happens is because as people are deciding on what they need and want, and then when they're looking for solutions for those problems they may have, those buying problems that they have, they may come across different solutions or become aware of things they didn't know they were aware of or unaware of. New needs, for example, new wants. This is also partly because of the job that you do in telling people about your services and your products and showing them the different options that they may have. So yes, they can be irrational and contradictory, which can be really frustrating because they say they want to buy a triangle and they end up buying a circle. Whether you're selling timeshare or real estate, a car, or something in an electronics store, or a service like an insurance policy. Whatever it is you're selling, people will disappoint you and will make you think that they're crazy. It's not their fault. You and I do the same thing. The more we investigate our options in the knowledge gaining phase of buying, which is the third stage in the 7 steps of buying, the more we become aware of our options, the more we change before we finally identify what it is we actually need and want, and then we develop a desire to buy it, we make offers, and there's a purchase. The other thing is that buyers usually decide to buy things emotionally first. So if you're selling, for example, a car, right, and the car is clean, smells nice, is looked after, runs well, so it looks good and is good, and it solves all sorts of emotional issues. For example, makes them feel important, makes them feel safer. Whatever the reasons are, emotionally, when people are driven emotionally, using the car as an example, we're literally driving them closer to a sale because they want it emotionally, and it's extremely powerful. If you look at all the marketing campaigns that are out there, they focus on emotions. They focus on the benefits of a product, not the features. So whenever you're selling anything, services, products, it's particularly more difficult with services, obviously, because you have to make your services more tangible. In doing so, you need to sell it emotionally. So you need to talk about fears, hopes, anxieties, possibilities, happiness, sadness, anything that'll help you show your customer, your potential customer, how the product or the service you're using may help them ultimately resolve or solve a problem they may have. The other thing to keep in mind is that sometimes, oh, by the way, don't forget also that even though they initially decide to buy emotionally, they still will use logic to justify that emotional decision. So they may want that car really badly, but they logically can't afford it because it's too expensive. Both logic and emotions play an important part in the buying process. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, so I don't keep it too long, which I'm sure you'll find useful, is buyers, and this is important to keep in mind, buyers usually, respond very well to visual cues, to olfactory cues, basically taste, sight, hearing, feelings, so touching things, anything to do with the 5 senses. So your eyes, your nose, your ears, sensations. When you appeal to your buyer using the 5 senses, so if you're selling a house, for example, it's got to be staged correctly. It's got to look clean, orderly, no personal effects. The customer needs to feel they can walk in and literally drop their bags and buy the place. The more you're able to do that and set the scenery, adding even smells of coffee being brewed in the kitchen, for example, gentle, appropriate music played on the terrace overlooking the valley and sea views. That sort of thing turbocharges sales. Now that's real estate. What about in retail? if your shop isn't clean, if it doesn't smell right, if it doesn't sound, if it's too noisy, if it's too cluttered, if clothes don't look good on the dummies that we use, the models that we use, okay? All of these things make a huge difference. So people buy those things. They buy emotional things. So you need to flavor it up a bit. The other thing I wanted to keep to remind you about is that buyers are like hunters. And because they're like hunters, when they're in the market looking to buy your services or products, they're usually distrusting of the salesperson because they don't know you. I mean, why would they want to trust you, right? So your principal role when you first meet your customers is to show them why you can be trusted and to get them to like you also as an individual. Now, I don't mean fake it. I mean, really be a genuine person that is likable. The best way that you can do this is to ask questions and really intently, with interest, with authentic interest, listen to what your customer says and ask relevant questions. Take on board their suggestions. Listen to even the small, what may seem to be irrelevant information they may produce, because even that's important. When you can show people that you're able to listen, that you care about them, and then you couple that with product information and expertise, you're on your way to a winning strategy. So those are a couple of ways that you can work with buyers, which I think you'll find useful no matter what business you're in. But of course, always remember, people buy from people they like and trust. That's irreplaceable. Thank you.